I'm with Brendan Kelly, and a little disclaimer here. Brendan's father and I went to Long Beach State together. We've known each other for most of our lives. Brendan, you were there last night. Just tell me what you went through and what was going on.
Sure. As a regular at Borderline, there 2-3 times a week. We had only been there for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, and they were about to teach a dance, and I noticed that the lights were on for everybody during the dance and having a good time doing a dance, and all of a sudden you just hear like a first few shots, pop, pop, and being in the military, being in the Marine Corps, I'm aware of what that sounds like, especially in an enclosed area, and so I grabbed basically whoever I could around me and just threw them to the ground, tried to look at where it was coming from, and just as soon as I identified where the target was or where the threat was, I grabbed at least 2 people around me and yanked them as hard as I could to get to the nearest exit, which happened to be to my rear, which normally is not an exit that we go out of, but given the circumstances, we just got out as fight or flight at that point.
Your training went into play here. Talk about how you just went into that mode and started getting people out.
It's a lot less thinking and it's more doing and acting at that point. There's not time for emotions to be involved. You just have to do. You have to act because people's lives are on the line. Whether that's getting them in a few seconds later or a minute later, whoever you can get out as fast as you can, that's what I not only been trained to do, but am raised to do by my family.
You were at the Vegas shooting last year. 13 months later, you got to deal with this. How do you mentally just hold up after what you experienced last year and then last night?
It's too close to home. Borderline was our safe space after. For lack of a better term, it was our home for the probably 30 or 45 of us that were all from the greater Ventura County area that were in Vegas. And that was our place that we went to the following week, 3 nights in a row, just so we could be with each other. And for a place that's been there for decades, that everyone loves, to go line dance and have a good time, for somebody to have such a senseless act of violence, it's truly heartbreaking, and it hits really close to home for everyone in the Newbury Park, Thousand Oaks area and beyond.
What was it like when you were able to get a hold of your mom and dad and say, hey, you're okay?
It was a phone call I was hoping I never had to make again, but I did. I got out who I was with, and at that point was able to take cover behind some vehicles, grab my phone out, and I called my mom. She didn't pick up, so I called Dad. Dad picked up. Hey, Dad, there's something going on right now. Just let you know I'm safe. I'll call you back when I can. Then I called my brother, one of my best friends, Aiden. Love him. And he didn't pick up either. So he called me back later. Had to be real short and sweet. Hey, man, I'm good. I don't know if you've heard yet. This is what's going on. I got to go, but I'm good. On to the next, because we were still hearing gunshots. My buddy, who's in the Navy, he had gotten a good-sized gash on his arm, so that's when I lost my belt. Initially tried to do a kind of a hasty tourniquet. That wasn't really working, so I took off my shirt to apply pressure, and was able to get him to a tree line and up the road. Once I did that, I was able to talk with some of the sheriffs who were right there and turn around and go back and see what else I could do. And because at that point we were still 5 minutes after it happened, we didn't know how many there were, what else was going on, who was all hurt. So I wanted to help as best I could.
Let's talk about you helping out. We've got pictures of you last night. You're trained for this. Just talk about the emotions or the adrenaline that was going through, where you knew what was happening, you recognized the sound, and your training just kicked in.
Well, it's a fight or flight, and I understand that not a lot of people have that, and you're going to act one way or another, and some people are just going to need help. They might be frozen. They might need that extra push. And I have some, EMS training as well, so being able to grab a set of gloves, maybe find whoever I can that has extra gear or gauze or whatever compressive bandage that I can use to maybe help somebody that's limping or has a gash or whatever it is before the paramedics and everyone else gets on scene, because as far as they knew, the scene wasn't safe anyway. So if we could be the first level of first responders before they got there, that's all you can do instead of just standing around and not doing much.
Have you been able to just wrap your head around that in just over a year? You survive Las Vegas. You survived last night, but this one was literally down the road from your house.
No, I haven't. The only thing I can contribute to is God. His protective hand over me that night on October 1st and last night. I easily could have been talking to one of my buddies by the front door who had just come in the door and been right by this individual. Easily. It happens all the time. It's just where you are in the bar in that moment, and I'm very thankful to be sitting here with you today.
And I think your dad's very grateful that you're here with them as well. Brendan, I've known Brendan since he was the size of a loaf of bread. And so when I got the text from his dad this morning, first question I asked was simply, is Brendan okay? And, you know, I talked to another kid at Cal Lutheran who simply said his parents called him up from Seattle. And as soon as his mother heard his voice, things were better. But this one, as he said, was really close to home.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Click the ABC7 logo to subscribe to our Eyewitness News YouTube channel.